Hey everyone, Nick from Nick's Crossing here, and welcome back to the Train Room, guys, for another restoration project video here on the train workbench. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at and taking apart one of these beautiful classic Lionel toy trains, the Lionel 248 Boxcab, produced all the way back in 1926, which is absolutely amazing that this locomotive right here, this toy train, is almost 100 years old. So anyways, guys, let's take this apart and get it rocking and rolling again so it can last maybe another 100 years, which is just crazy. Anyways, here we go. All aboard. So I sort of have a soft spot for these Lionel 248 locomotives because way back when I was living at home, my dad actually had his father's Lionel 248 set with 2 passenger cars that I would run all the time on layout in the basement. So once I got to a certain age, my dad trusted me running his father's pre-war stuff, which is very, very dear to him. It's actually at their house. And in that case, you know, I couldn't bring it here to run forever. I did a video on that, sort of loaned that engine, did a video, then sent the engine back home to where my parents are. And I sort of felt like I'm empty. I needed a Lionel 248 set. So what I did was I went to the place that has the most restored and greatest tin plate around, and also tin plate parts, Henning's Trains up in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, and picked up this beautiful restored Lionel 248. And this was sold to me by Henning III. Harry did an amazing job restoring this, and even has the restored tin plate sticker. And this locomotive is one of my prized museum pieces of my layout. Also means a lot to me that Harry restored this with 2 cars that are currently in storage. So I absolutely love these 248s. I think they're goofy looking and they're just fun pre-war locomotives. Now that's the other thing. I keep on saying pre-war. So for you guys out there that aren't aware of pre-war locomotives, that basically says that these were built prior to World War II. Now, everything after World War II we would call the post-war era up until a certain date. Then after that we got into the Fundimensions, MPC era stuff that's going crazy right now. Now we're in the modern era. It's more detailed, but a lot of that stuff probably will not last 100 years, to be honest. So it is what it is. I love some of the newer electronic stuff. Yes, it's fun, but you sort of buy this stuff knowing it's not going to last 100 years compared to these beautiful pieces of art that have been around since, I think this one's 1927 or 28. Then this one is 1926, which is absolutely crazy. So this book right here is sort of my Bible on identifying pre-war electric trains from Lionel. You can see the standard of the world since 1900 to 1943. And this book is great. My buddy Tom from Tom's Trains and Accessories gave me this about 4 years ago, I think, as a Christmas birthday present. So thank you, Tom. This has been amazing on identifying stuff. And I still have the dust cover. It's on the floor. I didn't want to rip it. It's getting pretty fragile. But as you can see, we've got lots of artwork in here. We can go all the way to the start of Lionel to all of their originals, which right here we have the Lionel 248 right here. It's an O-gauge locomotive. And then another one of my favorites, if it's here, yep, 252. I've got 3 of these as well. And you're sort of looking at these numbers on the right to identify what it is. So you can see 248. And if we flip back, you can find description on 248. So it's an electric 040 New York Central NR 7.5, 1927 to 32. And that's the dark green, black ventilators and number boards, RS or black plate etched with number board uncategoried circa 1926. So that's sort of what I'm going with here because it's uncategorized, and also that says green with black. So ours is orange with black right here, or black plate with etched number. So I'm assuming that's 26 because that's before these other numbers. Then it says dark green, black, maroon, uncategorized, 1927. This is orange, black, peacock, RS, then red, black, cream. So that is, I believe, red and cream is this model right here. That makes it a 27, I believe. This is olive green, black, orange, uncategorized, 1930. Terracotta, black, cream, RS 31. So if we look at our paint scheme here, there's also a paint identifier sheet that came in the book, which is very helpful. You can see all the pre-war color charts. And we are orange right here. And this is cool because it says shell orange, Hiawatha orange, burnt orange, terracotta. So just to make sure, if we match up our colors here, this is terracotta. This is not terracotta. This is similar to this right here, which is orange. So that is helpful to identify your pre-war collection. And they also have all these different things in here like aluminum, Tuscan, just all these beautiful colors that Lionel did. So before we start taking this apart, I want to see if this motor runs. And I have a hunch that it's going to be a great runner because this is it's pretty free. It just needs some cleaning. So I'm going to take my, basically my center terminal, place that right on the center roller, and then our grounding terminal I can just place on the frame because the frame of the motor is ground, and give her some power here. There we go, we have a runner. We also have the, I love these incandescent lights on these, they look so cool. You can also see the wheels are wobbling. That's because they're out of alignment. And I can also smell, yeah, that beautiful ozone smell that you guys have when you fire these old ones up. So definitely need some cleaning. You can hear the gears are very dry. And it looks like we have one good wheel, which is right here. The other ones are starting to go. So you can see that the tires are sort of flanged out like this. Instead of being nice and straight, they're puffed out like that. So we're going to replace all 4 wheels. I'm going to keep this one right here. And how you get into these is actually very simple. Just use a screwdriver. But the flatheads are original, which I sort of hate because if you fall out of the screw, you end up stabbing the shell, and usually the beautiful lead paint falls right off. So it's not my my favorite type of hardware, just like that. Just take your time. That one's done. Sit that right there. And there's another screw in the rear of the locomotive. And these are extremely simple to take apart. All right, 2 screws and the shell should pop right up. Okay, cool. So someone has rewired this, which looks pretty good. The motor has been touched up, and we need to get the motor out of the chassis so you can do the wheel replacement. Now this wire with the shell, I believe these will pop out. Oh, I forgot how to get these. Some of them have a little piece that, yeah, I think we're stuck. So I'm basically stuck with the shell with the motor right now. So how to get the motor out of the chassis, or the frame, got these little flathead screws on each side. Okay, that one's out, and then all right. So now the motor should pop out. This just lifts right up. And we can actually place the frame with the shell to keep that together. And then the motor is free. And this is a great running motor. You can see that the brushes are moving great. They're not shifting. You can look in the commutator plate right here. You can see the brushes moving up and down in either direction. These are staying flat. So you want the brushes, if these are brushes on the commutator or on the commutator plate on the armature, when you go forward or reverse, you don't want to see them shift because that means the brushes are worn. If you spin the motor and they're flat, you don't see any movement like this, they're good. So I don't see our brushes, which are right here and here, jumping up and down. They're nice and flat. commutator plates, they are sprung because there's 2 little springs that hold the brushes in. So my recommendation is just be very careful. And there we go. So now we're free. Oh, brush is inside the motor. Okay. There's one. Oh, here's a brush right here. One brush. They look pretty decent. And should be another brush somewhere. There it is. Another brush right there. They look pretty good. And for now, I'm actually going to, I'm just going to cut, I'm going to cut the frame away. I'll resolder that later. And the reasoning why, looking in here, you can see that there's a piece of exposed wire, which is right here. That will short to the frame. The whole frame is part of the ground circuit. So that will short and cause a problem. So if I chop the wire here, resolder a lead to our motor, that will be perfectly fine. I'm also not fighting with possibly damaging the paint that's already holding on for dear life. So let's set that off to the side. So right here we have our motor, and then here's our another positive lead right here that goes to the light. So that's what that wire's for. And first we're going to clean our commutator plate, which has got some crud on it. Spray a little bit of contact cleaner. And then we're going to actually scrub in the grooves of the plate. And you can see we already have a lot of dirt coming off of there. All right, guys, so the armature is clean. I sprayed contact cleaner in there, getting all the dirt out of this cavity. Then the commutator plate where the brushes ride upon is all cleaned off too. You can see it's all shiny. Now, my secret weapon of getting these motors to run extremely well and extremely fast is this spray right here. This is CRC 2-26. Contact cleaner is just CRC electric cleaner, but the 2-26 is multi-purpose precision lubricant, and this is for electrical connections. So this would be perfect for the commutator plate. So what we're going to do, instead of just spraying this in there, we're going to take one of our Q-tips like this, and we're going to spray a little bit, just enough to coat the Q-tip. And then we're going to clean this commutator plate. And it's a lubricant too. Now the only thing you have to watch out for is a potential fire. If you were to spray this in there, because the arc will flash this spray and create a very small fire. And I've had it happen several times, and one of the times was actually on a live stream. So you never want that. But this will lubricate that plate, so when the brushes are in contact, it's a nice, you can feel it's a nice sheen, also a nice just friction surface, and the electricity is able to pass through the lubricant, and this motor is going to run great. Also clean up some of the extra dirt in here. There we go. So that's looking really good, nice and shiny, nice and clean. Then what I like to do is where our brushes sit in, just use the same lubricant spray on the Q-tip and just coat in there where the brushes sit. So to get these wheels off, I'm going to use something called a wheel puller, and this is from The Puller right there. It's kind of hard to read, but I've had this for about 15 years now. And what we can do is actually just push on the center drive axle, and this one already came out without even having to use the Allen key, which is somewhere on the desk. Here it is. So if these are difficult to pull out, you can use an Allen key, and that will push this pin through the axle there, and it pushes the wheel right off. Now look how bad this wheel is. You can see it's crusted, and flange is all out of round. It's pretty crazy. So this is going into the trash, and these wheels pop right out. Now this wheel is very important. We're gonna have to actually pull the wheel off of this as well, because we need the gear assembly on the other side. This is a keyed gear. It's a square key, that locks in this gear that hooks up to our drive gear right here. All right, so this is that steam wheel. We're gonna throw that in our stash. Now, originally, guys, I had some of these black wheels in my stash. Thought these would look so cool with the black lettering on our shell mixed with the black wheels. I thought that would be so cool. But for some reason, I only have 3 of these. So I don't know where the 4th one is. So we're just going with these classic red wheels, unfortunately. I matched up, I've got all these different types of wheels in here. Matched up this set right here. They're both from the same company. One is the drive wheel, because it has this keyed square in there that's meant to accept this gear. Now, how you get the gear off? Honestly, pry gently on the old wheel. You're trying to make a mess, right? There it goes. This wheel is already, making a mess. We're gonna throw that in the scrap pile and get some of these sharps out of here. Now, this gear has a square in it that mates up to this wheel right here, the square drive. It's like a key. And originally this doesn't fit on there. You're like, what is this? So what you have to do is actually press this onto the wheel. So what I did was I put this in my vise with a piece of wood, and I pressed on one side in the vise against the wheel, and that made this gear snap on. So right now it's meant to be a pressure fit. That's why it's not really seating in there too well. And once that's seated in there, it's set. It's set in there forever. You want to make sure it's nice and flush, and you can see a little bit of light through, but you want to make sure that the gear is not lopsided. Now, if it's lopsided, what's going to happen is when you're running, you're going to see this wheel do one of these. Then also this gear could skip out of this gearing on this side, and you're going to hear the gears grind up. So right now, this should be perfectly seated in. And if you look at it, see the wheel is nice and straight. Now, there's no drive shaft in here yet. That's something else we have to press in. So here's the original drive shaft out of the locomotive. This now needs to be pressed into this drive gear wheel right here. So what I like to do is just use a little bit of 3-in-1 oil just on the outside of this drive shaft. And then when you press this in, it should be a little bit easier to press, so you're not fighting with it, or there's a potential to crack this pot metal material in here. So right back, I'm going to press this in. My vise has a hole in the back of it, so that makes it a lot easier to press wheels and such. But in this case, I need to actually press this drive shaft into the wheel assembly. All right, so as you can see, this wheel is perfectly pressed on. Drive shaft is not doing one of these. And also you can see a little bit of oil through the other side. That also helps cool the metal, because this is a lot of friction, and this is not going to fall out. And this is in there pretty well. Now the next step is kind of complicated and crazy. So what you want to do is take the wheel you just pressed in with the gear, put that on the geared side, and make sure that the gears are lined up. Make sure you're not getting any skipping or anything like that. This sounds and looks great. Now on this one, I didn't press this one in as far as it should be. So the other side, there's a little bit of excess sticking up. You can fix that with like a center punch or a press, but I'm just gonna leave it because it's solid, it's in there. But the craziest step right now is to actually put this whole motor assembly, and because this wheel doesn't want to go in unless it's behind that plate there. But the next crazy step is to stick this entire wheel assembly in a vise and press the wheels together. So I think it's just time to lubricate this up, and then we can test it with the motor hooked up with some power. And what I use for lubricant is just a 3-in-1 oil. So on this side, just lubricate the drive shaft in the middle for the commutator and all that, armature. And then on this side, we're just going to oil the main drive gear, then also some of the teeth on our wheels. So get some oil in there, and then just move it by hand. Then another good spot to oil is actually behind the gear. Flip it upside down. Just a little bit of oil in there. And then the actual wheel bearings themselves. This locomotive actually has wheel bearings, and you can see them in there. They actually put these little either brass or copper wheel bearings. They like a little bit of oil as well. And once the oil gets in there, look at that. Super quiet. Absolutely amazing. All right, the 248 is all ready to roll. Look at that new set of wheels there. And man, this thing just wants to run. And also, I polished everything up with the paint, give it a nice sheen. Just used a little bit of a light oil and just took all the dirt off and everything. And now it's sort of protected, it has an outer sheen to it. The paint is in decent shape for being 100 years old. Definitely has some dings and scratches. And a lot of you guys out there are probably asking, would you ever repaint this? And my answer is no. I absolutely love this the way it is. It tells a story, and it also says that, you know, someone took decent care of this, but you can see it has, you know, has had some tumbles. The front coupler is busted off, which is fine because this piece right here, as wired right now, only runs in forward. Now there are some that have a reverser switch underneath. It's like one of those contact switches or whatever, but this one does not have it. But I'm also missing the air whistle on the roof, which looks like this over here. And there it is right there. That's the little air whistle. So I could find one of these probably at Henning's. And did this one have the reverser in it? No. So this one only runs in forward as well, but this one also has both couplers, and this is a prime example of a restored piece right there. Just a little bit of a dust on the roof there. But this one runs great. This one runs really awesome too. So let's get this up on the railroad here and test her out. Alrighty everyone, that's going to do it for this video on repairing my Lionel 248, and this locomotive runs so nice. And the coolest thing about these is that they're also interchangeable with the platform of a Lionel, was it 252, and a couple others. So the parts are interchangeable, so the wheels and all that, and the axles, the motors are all the same, and some of the detail parts in the frame. A couple other things I'd like to mention about this locomotive. I did end up purchasing the wheels at Henning's Trains a while ago, so if you need wheels for your pre- and post-war locomotives, go up to Henning's Trains, reach out to them first, see if they have them in stock, but they make their own wheels, and these wheels are so nice. The tires are sticking on pretty well, and I've had horrible luck with wheels in the past, so go through Henning's Trains, they make them all in their shop. They also have a stash of pre- and post-war parts that you can use to fix your old Lionel toy trains. But anyways guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you're new to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment below, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Till next time everyone, happy railroading. We'll see you next time. See ya.